Hey Stephen, so you got to the point where you've got a few rails pitches, and they were quite easy to come by.
Yes, they were, because I think it was a measure of how hard it was to make it pay on the rails. Nobody wanted them.
So how many, just if you, for example, if you, what are the early pitches that you got? How many rails bookmakers would turn up on a Wednesday?
There'd be, 3 or 4 perhaps, half a dozen, something like that.
And would you say that the people betting with the rails bookmakers in those days would have been more the wealthy enthusiasts, or would there have been a lot more sort of shrewdies?
Mixture of both, really. Yeah. There wasn't nearly so much cash taken on the rails then, and I made a point of always calling out cash taken, and I had on my board, tried to emphasise. As it says here, trying to make the word
accounts
cash
open, cash bets taken.
Yeah, made the word cash as prominent as possible.
So was that in an attempt, because if I remember from my early days, you're almost too frightened to go near a rails bookmaker because A, your bet would be too small, or B, your bet would be too small, basically.
Yeah.
So was that something you were trying to get the extra custom in?
Yes, I suppose so. Yeah.
And when you were working on those pitches, you were working hard because you were coursing, which we'll talk about later, which is your first love, I suppose.
Yeah.
Going to Bristol Dogs and horse racing. So you were burning that. You were not spending an awful lot of time at home.
No.
Was that because you had to earn enough money per day, or just to get yourself established?
Bit of both, I suppose.
Now, interestingly, again, reading from the book, you worked for a lot of bookmakers, so you've done your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You've seen how they all did it, which is mostly differently.
Yeah.
And you decided that you would follow the strategy of those bookmakers that followed the figures.
Yes.
Why did you decide that?
Because they seem to do better than the ones that had opinions.
And would they have been consistent in what they did?
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah.
So before we talk about actually what you did, did the way you did business evolve as you became busier?
Yes, I'd say so, yeah.
So would it be fair to say you were living by the seat of your pants a bit in the early days?
Yes, yeah.
So you decided, and this is once again paraphrasing from your book, you decided to lay horses at the right price, take any bet you're asked for, even if it meant hedging them back shorter.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a paradox there.
Yes, but I think it paid off in the long run because it enabled me to build a reputation of, giving people a reasonable bet.
But some of the people that we won't mention any names, but some of you were laying eventually some of the top people in the game from the punting world. There'd be a danger that your book would be read if once you'd hedged it all back to the point where you weren't going to lose your house.
Yes. Well, it was up to me to judge what size of bet. I'm not saying I never cut anyone down, because sometimes people were just a little bit too ambitious with what they asked for, but and what I'd lay them, obviously, I had to judge the strength of the market, and again, I didn't always get that right, but did often enough to survive.
Now, anybody young or younger watching this is going to be quite surprised that you never closed a winning account.
No.
So
I didn't even keep records of whether people won or not.
But you would know certain people that you were probably going to come second to over a period of time.
Yeah.
But you say in your book that you didn't mind laying the winning punters because you wanted to lay as many horses as possible. Wouldn't a lot of those winning punters have been trying to get on the same horse?
Well, if they did, my attitude was, because I wanted to lay lots of horses, different horses. I wanted lots of people to be betting with me, and I didn't want to, exclude anyone. And so, but if there were 5 shrewd punters on the course, if they all wanted to back the same horse, only the first one would get on anyway. Whereas sometimes they'd want to back different horses.
Right, because I was going to suggest that you'd be unlikely to take a better size for anything else if all the shrewds were trying to get on the one.
Yeah, yeah.
So what, I mean, but From Bicycle to Bentley, and you did that in style.
Yeah.
In your book, you've taken it as many bets as you possibly can. You don't close accounts.
Yeah.
You hedge back smaller but you went from Bicycle to Bentley. I mean, what was your strategy?
Well, I suppose to keep, basically to win a small percentage of a large turnover.
And would we always talk about, because I always want to interview the people that win, so I've talked to a lot of professional punters, but would the number of people that used to beat you be a small fraction, a medium fraction of the people that bet with you? Were they small enough a group that it didn't really matter too much because there were enough people losing on a regular basis?
Well, I suppose the fact that I survived suggests that is the case, but as I say, I didn't necessarily know who was beating me or not.
Okay. Now you said in the book that I think this is probably the record year because it's a number you mentioned. You turn over 21 million in a year, so a small percentage of 21 million is a nice few quid if you can take it take it right. So that was obviously taking it right was the trick.
Yeah, I can't remember how small the percentage was, but it was small. Yeah.
Well, give us a rough, is it a percent or a fraction of a percent or 10% or?
No, I don't know. I mean, expenses were quite a large. Expenses were probably a bigger percentage than the profit. And then there's bad debts as well, of course.
Yeah, because I remember when everybody else used to hear what you were paying your staff, and we all used to be a bit disgruntled.
Yeah. Really? I've ever been overpaid? I better have a word with them and claw some back.
Now, did your decisions about hedging depend on the punter with a very large bet, or did you stay consistent?
I suppose, well, at least subconsciously they might have had an effect, yeah. But mainly I was just trying to keep in line with the market, or rather keep in line with the level of business I was taking or thought I might take.
Now, obviously, we won't mention names, but there were some very high profile, for want of a better word, not very good punters flying around in the 80s having massive amounts of money on. Did you ever take a decision that you would just play that punter and keep it and take a chance on everything they bet you?
No, I mean, I've heard of other bookies referring to punters as to the top of the book punters, where they just record their bets separately from their main book and just hope for the best with them. But no, they always went in the book, and I'd just be looking at the figures, the takeout figures, to decide what to do.
Okay, and a lot of professional punters, obviously the other side of the fence, talk about having staking being one of the most important factors to their being profitable.
Yeah.
Would you have a figure in your mind, depending on the track you're at in the business, your maximum you would stand a horse to lose?
Not really, because you couldn't control it that easily anyway. No, so I just try to keep it roughly in line with the strength of the market.
Okay, so would it literally depend on if you've laid 6-4 and Ashley and Certainty have gone running around the ring, they've come back and said it's 5-4 on, Stephen, you just have to take it on the chin. Is that how it used to work?
Yeah, yes, I suppose, yes. I'd be, if the big difference was that much, I'd be reluctant to hedge that much under the odds.
And do you remember what the most you stood a horse for?
I don't know. No. Well, one that stands out was Magic Ring at Ascot, Royal Ascot. I think it might have been a two-year-old race. I laid a big bet and about 2-1, and I couldn't get enough on, even at slightly under the odds. And of course, in it went. Yeah. I can't remember what I lost, but too much. Yeah.
This sort of, do we read from that by that point in your career, if you don't even, you remember the 147 from your Latin class, but from that point in your career, you were comfortable enough to be able to take hits like that.
Yes, yeah.
So you were you never a couple of bad results away from turning it all in?
No, and I was never in danger of knocking. Yeah, that was I couldn't have put up with that. The shame of that.
How hairy was it in your very early days? You know, with your tank that you had. Did you have a substantial tank when you started?
No, I didn't. No, no, because no, I just had to bet to that tank. But yeah, which is why I had to hedge under the odds sometimes. But yeah, it gradually built up. Yeah.
And was there any other? Did you have any other source of income back in those early days?
No,
so you purely had to win every time you went out.
Yeah.
I was interested as well. You were a winning racehorse owner.
Yeah.
Hollow Tree, which won at the Landers, which is in Jersey.
Yeah.
A lot of people, after their first horse they've owned winning, would have got the bug, and there'd have been a string of horses in the Stephen Little colours.
Yeah. No, it. I think I just feel the odds are stacked against you too much. So yeah, I mean, quite a large proportion of horses never, well, quite a percentage never even run, and yeah, still more never win. So no, it yeah, it was something I felt I ought to do at some time, but no, I never really wanted to dive into it too deeply.
Okay, now I remember when the computerised systems came on course first of all. Everybody thought that was a massive innovation. But you'd actually been, you're not frightened of technology. You've been using computers to send out accounts, and you also. Tell us a bit about that. Well, I started with just an adding machine to help me with the accounts, and gradually, as technology advanced, I bought various small portable computers, and then I was alerted to the existence of a firm called Husky Computers, who made really rugged computers for use outdoors, which they sold to the military and other people, and that was portable. I could use it in the rain, and sorry, the kittens are playing up there. And also I enjoyed programming. So and so I programmed this computer to eventually it could print out the accounts and even the checks. Yeah. And you also developed a program to help trainers enter their horses? Yes, that's right. Yeah. Which is still going, but I didn't update it because I in the early days when when I first did the program, it was in a language called MS Basic, which was Basic, and as racing expanded, it couldn't really cope with the number of races each week, so it had to be updated. But I didn't really have time to do that. But yes, I got a lot of satisfaction of quite a lot of the top trainers who were using it. Yeah.